my pleasure to introduce today's commencement speaker. You have many biographical facts printed in your program, so except for a few of these facts, I shall not endeavor to repeat them. Alberto Ibarguen is in his 7th year as president and CEO of the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, a Miami-based national foundation with local roots. Knight Foundation chooses, as the Knight brothers chose, to seek opportunities in this country that can transform both communities and journalism and help them reach the highest potential to which they're capable. Since 1969, Knight Foundation has invested $38 million in this community, making Macon a better place to live, to study, and to work. The College Hill Corridor is the most recent example of what the Foundation's philanthropy has enabled. Over the last 3 years, a $5 million grant from Knight Foundation has leveraged an additional $15 million in private investment in the corridor. These investments have attracted new residents to our community, new businesses to our neighborhood, and between campus and downtown, while greatly enhancing Macon's College Hill vibe and the aesthetic appeal of the corridor. Mr. Ibarguen is former publisher of the Miami Herald and the El Nuevo Herald. During his tenure as publisher, the Miami Herald won 3 Pulitzer Prizes, and El Nuevo Herald won Spain's Ortega y Gasset Prize for Excellence in Journalism. Mr. Ibarguen is chairman of the board of the World Wide Web Foundation, an organization dedicated to advancing the web as a medium that empowers people worldwide to bring about positive change. He is a member of many boards, including PepsiCo and the Council on Foreign Relations. And over the years, he served on the boards of arts, education, and civic organizations, including Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, the Committee to Protect Journalists on Wesleyan University, Smith College, and also the University of Miami. He has served as board chairman of PBS and of the Florida Philharmonic Orchestra. And as you may know, part of his work is to protect journalists in Latin America as part of the Inter-American Press Association. Mr. Ibarguen received a Mariah Moore's Cabot citation from Columbia University and from George Washington University, which awarded him an honorary Doctor of Letters. Graduates, family members, and friends, it is truly a great honor and entirely fitting on this occasion to hear from Alberto Ibarguen. He models much of what Mercer University seeks to cultivate in its students and what it aspires to be. He's a citizen of the world. He is passionate about transforming communities. He embraces diversity. He seeks out adventure. He celebrates ideas and is a strong advocate for truth and enlightenment. Mercerians, as you embark on your next stage of your life, you would do well to emulate our commencement speaker for today, Mr. Alberto Ibarguen.
Thank you very much, Provost Daniel. As I listen to that listing of all the boards I've been on, I can't help but think I must really, really be old. Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to parents and friends, faculty, and especially to the graduating class. It is truly an honor to share your day of celebration and achievement. So let me begin right there and say congratulations on your day of commencement, on your day of beginning. Today we celebrate a very American idea, the idea that we can impact our lives, that our future is not determined by race or gender or ethnicity, but by our skill, talent, and application. Certainly not everyone in the world believes that, and not everyone would share either of our notions of freedom or of free will. But they are quintessentially American notions, and I come here to celebrate both. I have just two simple messages. One is that your day is here, your time is now. And two is that you'll have wasted the day if you don't seize it. And let me explain. First, your day is here. You came to Mercer to train for the tools you'd need to manage your life. This ceremony is confirmation that you are ready to continue to learn and grow and use what you have learned. Second, this day is about action and engagement. Action and engagement with community are very particular hallmarks of this university. And in thanking you, President Underwood, Provost Daniel, and members of the faculty for the privilege of an honorary degree and of becoming a part of Mercer University, I also acknowledge that through me, you intend to recognize the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation and its mission of promoting informed and engaged communities. And so I'd like to talk just a little bit about place and about community and about our individual roles in forming those places that you will call home. Knight Foundation works in journalism and communities. We're active in media innovation, in technology for engagement, and the arts, particularly in the cities where Jack and Jim Knight owned newspapers, including, of course, Macon. The Knights actually bought the Telegraph and the Macon Evening News in 1969 and began investing in their community right away. That commitment to this community continues to this day, led by our trustee and resident of Macon, Beverly Knight Olson, and our Macon program director, Beverly Blake, both of whom are here this afternoon. Knight's relationship with Mercer University began about 30 years ago, and it has been a natural alliance based on shared values, a belief in service and responsibility to ourselves and to others. You're fortunate to have received that kind of a liberal arts education here. Since you cannot know what the future will bring, the best way to prepare is a broad-based education to prepare you for whatever will come. You've been taught to think critically, lead thoughtfully and ethically, and take into consideration the perspectives of others. And it is precisely in that way that I think back to my own university experience at a similar school and remember clearly the challenge issued to us by the then president of Wesleyan University, Victor Butterfield, who told us that if we look back on the 4 years at Wesleyan as the best years of our lives, then Wesleyan would have failed us, because the purpose of a great liberal education is to learn how to always keep on learning. And so I turn to you and challenge you in the same way. If you look back years from now on your years at Mercer, and Mercer were the best years of your life, then I really do think that Mercer will have failed you. For the purpose of your education here is to learn how to learn forever and how to always continue to serve. Over each of the last 3 years, Knight Foundation has actually commissioned the Gallup organization to survey men and women in 26 American cities and towns to help determine what attaches people to place, and what attaches people to their communities. And surprisingly to me, what seems to attach people to place is less about the economy, jobs, or basic services, and more about the community's openness, its physical beauty, opportunities to connect socially and culturally with others, the human connections. And so what does that mean? What do we do with that information? How do we make from place and from community something that is alive, dynamic, changeable? How do we live the vision that we have? It takes courage, it takes engagement, it takes a belief that even small ideas and single actions can mean something more and amount to something great. This is not pie in the sky theory. I have lived it, I have seen it, and I want to tell you two quick stories, quite different. One is a personal story, the other is about 4 Macon students. The personal story I want to tell you is about being the editor of the school newspaper in 1964 when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. came to Wesleyan as our commencement speaker. He spoke on Saturday night. They had many dinners for him. It was quite an event. He was already, of course, a major national personality. The next morning, on Sunday morning, I joined a group of reporters from Connecticut, from newspapers, in a small press conference. I suppose there were probably 8 or 9 of us there. And Dr. King came in. Coretta Scott King sat dressed in scarlet, sitting behind him. He was exhausted. He was dog-tired. He was answering questions he had been asked 1,000 times before. He answered them carefully, he answered them slowly, he answered them politely. But you knew that he was almost on automatic pilot. I thought, there's no way this man can possibly be the same King that we know about, the same one that we've seen on television, the same one whose speeches inspire in the most electrifying ways. And so I went to the graduation later on that day expecting to see the same tired man. And instead, what I saw on the great marble balcony on the great lawn of the campus at Wesleyan was a man who willed himself to rise to his responsibility. He spoke that day of the arc of history bending toward justice. He spoke that day about the inevitability of that justice, and if the mountain would not come to Muhammad, Muhammad would go to the mountain. And I swear that as he spoke, it was a rainy day, and it was a cloudy day as it was today, and the clouds parted and sun shone, and I thought this was almost too good to be true. And the lesson that I took from that was not that this was an extraordinary man. I knew he was an extraordinary man. The lesson that I took from that was his example of willing himself to be the enabling servant leader, willing himself to do what was necessary, willing himself to do his duty. Now, you needn't go all the way back to 1964 or Dr. King. Look here at Mercer, only a few years ago, 4 students participating in a senior capstone class came up with the idea that eventually became the College Hill Corridor. 4 students, just like you, had a vision of what Macon could be and created a plan. They met with an urbanologist named Richard Florida in Washington, D.C., attended his class where Macon was the case study. This gave the students the confidence to push forward, and they then met with President Underwood, the mayor of Macon, and the College Hill Commission was formed. It was volunteers who took the concept and started planning the revitalization of the area between Mercer and downtown. Momentum took it forward, and now we have the College Hill Alliance and the Night Neighborhood Challenge that brings all of our residents together to envision our shared future and are making it happen. The idea that began with those 4 students has engaged government leaders, faculty, neighborhood residents, and has led to the investment of millions of dollars in private investments and millions more in grants from foundations, a part of which I'm proud to say came from Knight Foundation. And to just single out 2 individuals who are your approximate age, Josh Rogers and Alex Morrison, who are living in the community that they envisioned even as they are helping to create it. Josh is a former Mercer student government president who heads the historic Macon Foundation, and Alex, one of the capstone class students who was returned to Macon after receiving a master's degree and is now the director of the Macon-Bibb Urban Development Authority. Alex and John, 2 bright young people who are your contemporaries, created the change that they envisioned. That is the example to follow. And I hope that is an example that helps you believe that each of you Mercer graduates can make it happen in your community as well. My friend and former president of Knight Foundation, Harding Carter, often talked about what his father had taught him. His father was a great Pulitzer Prize winning journalist from Greenville, Mississippi. And one of the things that Harding once showed me, he showed me an essay where the senior Harding Carter, the journalist, wrote this: "There is not much any of us can do to change the course of affairs in Washington, in the nation, or in the world at large. But there is much that each of us can do to change the course of events in Greenville. And it is what happens in Greenville, in all of the Greenvilles, that determines the course and the shape of the nation and of the world." Think about that as you apply what you've learned at Mercer. What you do will shape your place, your community, your town, your Greenville, and that might change and determine the shape of our nation and of our world. Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ibarguen, for those words. Thank you for reminding these graduates of the potential that each has to impact his or her community. And thank you for honoring us with your presence today. Would you now please join me along with Dr. Netherton and Dr. Daniel here at the podium. Mercer University is privileged to honor Mr. Alberto Ibarguen in recognition of his distinguished achievements in the fields of law, media, and philanthropy. The university applauds the example he sets in executive leadership that supports journalism and civic engagement. Mr. Ibarguen, you have proven yourself most deserving of being honored by Mercer University today. Therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the university, we hereby confer upon you the degree Doctor of Humanities, in token of which we vest you with this hood and present to you this citation.